Kyle Busch just closed the door on one of the most expensive mistakes of his life, and it cost him more than $8 million to learn the lesson. On the 26th of February, 2026, Kyle Busch and his wife Samantha finally settled their massive lawsuit against Pacific Life Insurance. This legal battle had been hanging over Kyle's head for a long time, and now, at 40 years old, it is finally done. The paperwork is being wrapped up, and one of the most painful chapters in Kyle Busch's life off the track is coming to a close. But to really understand why this is such a big deal, we have to go back to where it all started. Kyle Busch is not just any NASCAR driver. He is a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. He has won at almost every track on the schedule. He has been one of the most dominant drivers in the sport for nearly 2 decades. Right now, he races for Richard Childress Racing, one of the most respected teams in NASCAR history. On the track, Kyle Busch knows exactly what he is doing. He has spent his entire career making split-second decisions at 200 miles per hour. But off the track, even the best of the best can get taken advantage of. And that is exactly what happened here. Before we get into exactly what went wrong, it helps to understand what kind of product Kyle and Samantha were sold in the first place. The policies at the center of this lawsuit are called Indexed Universal Life Insurance Policies. That is a very fancy name, but here is the simple version. It is a type of life insurance that also acts like a savings or investment account. The idea is that your money grows over time, and when you retire, you can take that money out without paying taxes on it. It sounds like a great deal, right? Especially for someone like Kyle Busch, who has earned a lot of money during his racing career and needs a smart plan for when his driving days are over. That is exactly how it was sold to Kyle and Samantha. They were told this was a safe plan, a smart plan, a way to protect their family's future long after Kyle hung up his helmet. It was pitched to them as a tax-free retirement solution that would keep growing and keep their family secure for years to come. But what they were not told, or at least not told clearly, was what was hiding underneath all of that. Once Kyle and Samantha got into these policies, things started going very wrong, very fast. The Busch claimed in their lawsuit that they were duped. That is a strong word, and they meant it. They said they were lured into a financial trap. These policies were loaded with hidden costs that were not made clear to them when they signed on the dotted line. Fees and charges were eating away at their money in ways they did not expect and were not properly warned about. Think of it this way. You think you are putting your money into a safe bucket that will slowly fill up over time, but there are secret holes in the bottom of that bucket that nobody told you about. And by the time you realize what is happening, a huge amount of your money has already drained away. That is essentially what Kyle and Samantha said happened to them, and the number attached to their losses is staggering. They lost over $8.58 million. That is not a small mistake. That is a life-changing amount of money gone. The Busch were not going to sit back and accept what happened. They decided to fight back and took Pacific Life Insurance to court. Their argument was clear. They said they were misled. They said the product was sold to them in a way that hid the true risks and the true costs. They trusted the people who sold them this financial plan, and that trust was broken in a massive way. For Pacific Life Insurance, this was a serious accusation. These are not small claims. When you are talking about over $8.5 million and a lawsuit from one of the most recognizable names in NASCAR, people pay attention. The legal battle became one of the most talked about off-track stories in the sport. It was a reminder that even famous, successful people can be put in very difficult financial situations when they are not given the full picture. Fox NASCAR insider Bob Pockrass confirmed late Thursday that all parties have now agreed to the settlement terms. The two sides have reached a deal, and they are in the process of finalizing the paperwork. The specific details of the settlement, meaning exactly how much money was agreed upon and what each side gave up, have not been made public. That is pretty common with legal settlements. Both sides agree to end the fight, but the exact terms often stay private. What we do know is that this lawsuit is over. The legal back and forth between the Buschs and Pacific Life Insurance is done. And for Kyle and Samantha, that has to feel like an enormous weight being lifted off their shoulders. Here is why this matters beyond just the money and the courtroom. Kyle Busch has been dealing with this lawsuit while also trying to race at the highest level of NASCAR. That is not easy. Legal battles take up time, energy, and mental focus. They create stress. They pull your attention in different directions at a time when you need to be completely locked in on your job. Racing at 200 miles per hour in a Cup Series car demands everything you have. Your focus has to be sharp. Your head has to be in the game. When you are carrying a multi-million-dollar legal cloud over your head, that is a distraction whether you want it to be or not. Now, at 40 years old, Kyle Busch gets to walk into every race weekend with one less thing on his mind. This is gone. This chapter is closed. He does not have to think about depositions, lawyers, court dates, or any of that anymore. He just gets to race. And if you know anything about Kyle Busch, you know that when he is fully focused, he is one of the most dangerous drivers on any given weekend. He has won everywhere. He has won on short tracks, super speedways, road courses, and everywhere in between. His career numbers put him among the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. Richard Childress Racing is counting on him to perform at that level. His teammates are counting on him, his fans are counting on him, and now, without this brutal distraction in the background, Kyle Busch has every reason to go out and remind everyone exactly what he is capable of. This story is also a warning for anyone, not just NASCAR drivers, who is thinking about putting their money into a complex financial product. Indexed universal life insurance policies are real products that real people buy. For some people, they might work out just fine, but as Kyle and Samantha's story shows, they can also go very wrong. The fees and hidden costs inside some of these policies can quietly drain your account in ways that are not obvious when you first sign up. When someone is selling you a financial plan and it sounds almost too good to be true, safe, tax-free, protected, growing it is always worth slowing down and asking a lot of questions. Ask someone you trust who has no financial interest in what you decide. Read the fine print. Understand what happens to your money if things do not go the way you were told they would. Kyle Busch is a champion. He is one of the toughest competitors the sport has ever seen. But even he got burned by a product that turned out to be something very different from what he was promised. $8.58 million is a massive price to pay for a lesson learned. But on the 26th of February 2026, Kyle Busch drew a line under that chapter and moved on. The settlement is done. The nightmare is over. And now, the two-time champion gets to put all of his energy exactly where it belongs behind the wheel.